And I don't concern myself with that crap, man. I still have time for UFC and the Yankees every once in a while, but this is my life. This is what absorbs me. I'm on the news wires every day. I'm helping to write articles every day. I'm researching for my next movie every day. I'm helping out on the Alex Jones show every day. I do my weekly show. I used to have a 5-night-a-week show. So if I can do it, and I'm just 30 years old, anybody can do it in my eyes. I'm nothing special. I really am. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a quick couple questions actually.
Sure.
You mentioned good and evil, and you showed the owl. You know, the Bohemian Grove owl. What's your take on
What that deity is?
Yeah, and then what do you think about Jesus Christ being Lord and Savior?
Well, you know what? I'm a pretty agnostic guy. I do not diss Christians. I've read the Bible. I think Revelations is fascinating. Anyone that does kind of diss Christians and won't look at that angle, I always point to the verse, not only of the mark of the beast, but before that mark, it clearly states that those who run the world will pose themselves as Christians, but in reality be pagans and into the occult. And when you see what these guys are into, it's that way.
It's satanic?
I don't know if it's satanic. I think some of them are definitely satanic. However, a lot of them are earth-based and pagan religion. And even Alex has talked about the representation of the owl being Moloch. I'm not so sure. A lot of the graphics you saw of the older Bohemian Grove with Mephisto and the Buddha, that's actually from something I got on eBay for $75. I got a Bohemian Grove owl from 1896 to 1905, and they clearly state it's an owl god. It's not Moloch or anything like that. I couldn't find anything on Moloch. But then you see what this owl represents in pagan philosophy, and it is a harbinger of death and destruction. And that's why I believe these people have chosen it. But they used to have that giant Buddha or Maitreya statue as well. So for me, I try not to get into the religious aspect. It's just like, hey, I don't care if you're gay. You can be homosexual. That's nothing. I have no problem with that. But the people out there that are presenting themselves as Christian conservatives and then getting male prostitutes are hypocrites. And then it goes further than that into them literally having sex with children, male and female. We could have got a lot further into the Franklin scandal. Am I almost up for time? 5 minutes? 5 minutes, all right. Do you have another question? I'm sorry, what was the first one?
No, just sadism and then Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. And then,
well, we got
pretty much, oh, go ahead.
Well, no, that's all right. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so I guess these two questions, I'm trying to bang them out. You first.
What's an easy way we can explain this? Because, just within your film, I can think of at least 25 hours of DVDs I've seen, 10 books I've seen. What's just...
Well, that's why I put this 2-hour movie together, man. It's on YouTube right now. The full thing. I just posted it on my Facebook for anybody.
The first 5 minutes of it before I came out here.
Yeah.
But, what's a good hook, line, and sinker for people? Because
well, I hope this is, but other movies that I suggest are obviously, if you can't get them to talk about 9/11, Loose Change Final Cut, Fabled Enemies. You want to do the monetary system? Huge fan of America Freedom to Fascism. If you want to get further into the eugenics program, Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement. The thing is, it's different strokes for different folks. But, you could also say, hey, here's a novel idea, read. A lot of people, I don't write books because nobody reads anymore. It's not because they're not effective. No one reads anymore. And I got to tell you, to do these type of movies, I read a shit ton. I read, you would not believe the amount of stuff. I dug that Indonesian document out from Kissinger and Nixon and Surutu where they're talking about a new world order. I tell people to read, but listen, we live in an MTV generation, let's be realistic. That's why I package it this way. That's why I hope that you can get somebody, if they can't sit through the whole 2 hours, maybe you get them for a half an hour and just pique their interest. Maybe they'll sit through the whole 2 hours, 2 weeks, a month down the line. It's all about breaking through. All right, we got limited time, last questions.
Yeah, Jason, I enjoyed the movie a whole bunch. I just wanted to reiterate, you brought up the Third Reich. That is the Third Empire, right? The Third Roman Empire. Is that what Hitler was referring to? We got pagan Rome, papal Rome, and then Nazi Germany, right? They wanted to bring back the Roman Empire, basically. You also brought back, you also mentioned the European Economic Community, 1957, right? The Treaty of Rome.
Sure.
Basically, they went ahead and said that the European community is the revived Roman Empire, in that treaty, right? So basically, I'm just curious why, you even mentioned the Pope, claiming at the UN that, people need to work for a UN order and all this. So basically, I'm just curious as to maybe why the Vatican wasn't brought up as much.
A lot of people think that the Jesuits or the Vatican are at the top levels of that, and I can see why, because if you look at Adam Weishaupt's model for the Illuminati, he took it directly from the Jesuits, which were really the first group that made everything into an intelligence organization. They got people to come confess their sins to them, so they had a rap sheet on people. And there are a lot of Jesuits that are involved in this, but I just see that as another part of the Anglo-American arm that takes care of those who are religious, that kind of nullifies them. And it's also a guard for their pedophile guilt. Okay? I actually thought about bringing them into the end section here and say, hey, why aren't these priests, you know, being prosecuted? Why aren't we looking at this more? But it's a 2-hour and 12-minute movie. I don't want it to be a 2-hour and 35-minute movie. And cutting 25 minutes out of it, I was like, and I personally don't think that Rome and the Vatican are the end-all, be-all. I really do think it's an interconnected, interwoven group of elitists. I do see the families of Rothschild and Rockefeller at the tippity top. I may be wrong on that. I see the Rothschilds as really the money arm and the Rockefellers as more of the think tank arm. Not as the captains. I think is kind of like the captains of the mafia. You're looking at people like Kissinger, Brzezinski, you know, lieutenants like Sarkozy, and even the president of Georgia, who, if you had saw, he also talks about a New World Order at the end. So to me, you know, I try to remain secular too, because I want this to be a broad base. I want everybody to come in. I don't want to bash anybody's religion. That's certainly not what I'm about. I find that it is a huge fault in zeitgeist.
But
you know,
the issue wouldn't even be the religious issue, because the Vatican is a separate city-state himself.
well, that's true. And for people that don't know, they govern themselves. The Vatican has its own laws in Vatican City, and they're literally in charge of everything. In other words, you can't really prosecute or go after these people, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And I see, again, why people gravitate towards that. I remember back in 2005 meeting a journalist named Greg Szymanski, who often points to the Vatican as the top level of, I guess, the head of the New World Order. I don't see it that way. You know, I don't necessarily even know if the entire New World Order is Luciferian by consciousness or just their modus operandi. You know what I'm saying? I really think a lot of these people think they're doing a good thing. All right, here's the guy telling me I gotta go. So guys, I thank you so much. I'm gonna be selling DVDs out of the back of my car. If you guys want me, I'll be in the back. Thanks for showing up.
The new world order will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom for all. Tyranny will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom for all. A global awakening is happening. The enemy is napping in their palaces. We breaking up their fallacies. Man, please.